What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Naked and Unashamed podcast, where we talk about, watch this, how to strengthen your love, married love, spiritual connection, and sexual wholeness. I am your host, Dr. Stacy L. Spencer.
And I am Rhonda Spencer. And baby, tonight we're diving deep.
How deep?
We're going, so how deep is your love? Oh, I got that note right there. Okay, anyway. But we're going deep. We're going to talk about one of the most misunderstood scriptures in marriage. And that one, the text says, the wife's body doesn't belong to her.
What?
But to her husband. And the husband's body, listen to that, doesn't belong to him.
Well,
but to his wife. So that is 1 Corinthians 7:4.
Well, I'm confused.
Why are you confused?
If it don't belong to him, it don't belong to her, whose is it? Look at your neighbor and say, whose is it?
Hopefully your neighbor is your spouse.
Right. And we're not just talking about sex, though. We're talking about ownership. We're talking about consent and the dance of desire in a Christian covenant. It's complicated sometimes. The wife's body doesn't belong to her. It belongs to the husband. And the husband's body don't belong to him. It belongs to her. We're going to figure this out tonight. We're going to have a great conversation around whose is it. Listen, tonight we are close to 600 subscribers. We want to thank you all for listening to our podcast. But listen, let's get to 1,000. We want to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of May. Can y'all help us do that? We want you to share this, subscribe, share, leave a comment. As a matter of fact, tonight you have our permission to text a couple friend and say, whose is it? No, text a couple friend and tell them, tune into this podcast. They're talking about tonight, whose is it? So when you come back, we're going to jump in. We're going deep tonight. Let's do it.
We made it through the test. Strength and need, love and sex.
So what we're talking about tonight is whose is it? So let's read it straight, from the word. 1 Corinthians 7:4 says, the wife does not have authority over her own body, but yields it to her husband. In the same way, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but yields it to his wife.
Now I can see where a lot of folk could get tripped up on this scripture. It's complicated. The wife does not have authority over her own body. The husband does not have authority over his body. Then whose is it? This isn't a permission slip for control.
Yeah.
I don't want y'all to hear that. Here they go with these antiquated scriptures. So you're trying to tell me that I don't have control over my body. It's not about control. It's about mutual yielding. Paul is flipping the script in a male-dominated society where oftentimes women did not have agency over their own body. It was a patriarchal society where women had little agency over their own pleasure. What Paul is saying is this is about mutual yielding of our control over our body to our spouse. When you are married, the two become one, right? Paul is flipping the script. And he's saying both spouses relinquish individual rights in favor of, watch this, mutual intimacy. Mutual. Both of y'all should be thinking, this is not my body to hoard to myself, but it's a body to be adored with my spouse.
That's good.
You like that?
That's
I
really
made
good.
it up just now.
You did good. Skirties. And I like that. It's not about possession. It's about, that partnership. My body is not yours to control. Like we said, it's not the ownership, the possession. It's ours to steward together.
I like that.
For us
steward.
to steward together. Because, if truth be told, if my body belonged to you, I'm like, you can take these hot flashes, carry these babies, but that's not what it means. It's not it.
Last episode you talked about how people weaponize sex, and let's be real, some Christians have weaponized this verse to bypass consent. But that's not Christ. That's coercion. You still must get permission from your spouse in order to enjoy their body. You've got to have consent.
Yeah, it's not a matter of being forced. It's about, when I said about the stewardship of the tending each other's body together. And we've taught also about the will of consent. Who is this for? Is this for me? Am I giving a present? It's not about, oh, you gonna take it if, regardless of what I say, in either way. It's about that mutual consent.
When you don't have consent, that's rape.
Definitely.
And also on the opposite side of that, to withhold or weaponize sex is punishing your spouse. And neither one of those are cool. But it's about consent, being intentional and being conscious about what it is you're giving to your spouse. God is a God of invitation. In Song of Solomon, the lovers ask and respond to each other. There's always mutual desire, not domination. And that's what we're trying to get y'all. We're trying to get y'all to understand that this is about tapping into each other and saying, I want to be with you, and asking the spouse, is it okay if I touch you here? Or asking your spouse, how would you like for me to touch you for 3 minutes? And then a follow-up question is, how would you like to touch me for 3 minutes? But the thing is that you are being intentional about making that connection. So even in marriage, consent is holy. Just because we're married, watch this, just because we're married doesn't mean no stops mattering. You mean to tell me, babe, watch this, I need you to help me with this. You mean to tell me in marriage you can say no and it's okay?
Absolutely. Let your yes be your yes and your no be your no.
I'm gonna have to keep it 100 with you real quick.
Okay.
I used to feel a certain kind of way when you tell me no. You said I'm spoiled. I am. You got me spoiled right. So when you say no, sometimes it's like, But I think we have learned to say no in a loving way. And sometimes the no may be no for a certain thing.
Right.
But might be yes for something else. No, you can't penetrate me tonight. But yes, you can hold me, or I can give you oral, or you can rub my feet, or you can pleasure me another way. So we have to understand that no doesn't always mean no to everything, but it may be no to a certain thing.
And the thing is that mutual consent, it actually helps to deepen, that strength, and it heightens pleasure. Like when we have mutual consent, it takes off the stress on, oh, he's going to have a temper tantrum if I say no tonight. Knowing that if I've communicated earlier in the day that something's going on and it's still going on, that you've taken my feelings into consideration because I've kind of given you my no throughout the day, but you're taking my consideration into fact, and I'm loving and trusting you more because you're listening to me. So that helps to deepen, I think, that intimacy.
I think the reason that works that way is because when you say no because you may be feeling poorly, and my response is one of compassion, it says to you, he loves me.
Absolutely. I feel safe.
But if I'm pouting and you said I have a headache or I have vertigo, and I'm like, I don't care, I still need some.
Who does that?
I don't know. Somebody in America
Okay.
does that. Mr. T or somebody. But if there's no compassion, it makes you like, he doesn't care about me. So I think that it's all in how we respond, and it's all about how you say no too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes no can feel like a rejection. No. That's like, oh, I don't want you. But if you're like, babe, tonight I'm just not feeling myself, so I'm going to have to pass tonight. Or you've said to me, like, if I want to do a certain act, and you're like, I don't need that tonight, but I would like Like the other night, you said, just give me some vanilla sex. And I was like, all right, vanilla it is. I'll get chocolate or strawberry tomorrow.
Just have to speak his language.
But here's a tip for y'all. Here's a tip. Write this down. Before intimacy, I want y'all to try asking this. What do you need tonight? Or how would you like to feel loved? That small question opens big doors. Can you tell me why? Why do you think that question opens big doors?
I think it opens big doors because, one, it allows you to think, what do I really need tonight to feel loved? You know, this may make you feel loved, but you're asking me a question. What will make me feel loved? And if it's, let's sit here and you hold me and we watch an episode of whatever it is you're watching for that night, that will make me feel loved, that will be my desire.
Or if it's me and I say, if you sit on me and ride me while we're watching this movie, it'll make me feel loved. And if you're up to it, you would say what? What you laughing at? What? If you felt up to it and I asked for that and that made me feel loved, would you consent?
I would consent. I'm just laughing because mine was just so generic, right?
No,
and yours was
all like, just hold me, make tonight.
And yours was like, no, I want this and this and
I
this.
want you to ride me reverse cowgirl.
Where them fans at?
And let's talk to the sisters for a minute.
Okay.
Because if your body doesn't belong to just you, how do you still find what pleases you? If your body belongs to your husband, you don't have full authority over your body. Your husband shares in that authority over your body. How do you still find what pleases you?
That's a really good question, because this is where agency and awareness matters. You have to be aware of your own body and how you feel safe in your body and what pleases you, so that you can communicate that to your spouse and it not be selfish.
I love it. Come on up in here. A wife has a responsibility to learn her body so she can share with her husband what she wants. How does your husband know what you like if you don't know what you like? I think it's so important for men and women, specifically women, to know what pleases you. A lot of times in patriarchal societies, women did not know what pleased them because it was all about pleasing the man. Lay down, pull your gown up, let him do his business, and the night is over. But in this new world we live in, women now have say-so. They have input into what pleases them. I remember we did a workshop a few years ago, and we asked a room of about 16 women with their husbands, have they ever looked at their own vaginas in the mirror? Have they ever examined their own? And they said, one woman said yes. Everybody else said no. They were all middle-aged women. No judgment, but the reality is that some of us don't even know what we want.
Wow.
I think we heard somebody say once, I've never stopped to ask what I want. I've always thought I've given sex to my husband because that's what I was supposed to do, but I never stopped to ask what I want. And I think it's important for you to take survey of your body. Touch yourself. Spend time pleasuring yourself so you can articulate to your husband, I like it when you touch me here. I don't like it so much there. I like this kind of pressure, not that kind of pressure. What do you think?
I agree, but I'm stuck on when you said in a patriarchal society that most women would just give sex to, without knowing what they want. I think it's twofold. I don't think in those societies like now where men are learning to be in touch with their bodies as much
and their emotions
as much as women are. So why not explore those things together? Many times we put the onus all on the woman on knowing what it is that makes her feel good.
That's good.
And yes, there are times that our body changes, just like a man's body is changing. What turned me on in my 20s is definitely not turning me on at 55. So learning, being a constant student of yourself and your spouse helps to bridge that intimacy gap.
You need to spend some time just being in the bed with each other, with the lights on.
Be exploratory.
Clothes off, on top of the covers. And can you imagine a husband telling the wife, grabbing her hand and say, here's how I want you to touch me. Here's how I want you to stroke me. But some men don't know that because we have had so much shame around pleasure that we have to sneak and do it. We go in the bathroom and rub one out, when our wives are not around, and you're sneaking and you're hiding. And I think when we bring this love and affection and intimacy into the light, it's a whole new world for husbands and wives to explore together. Touch me here. I want you to look at me, examine me, feel me. I like this, or I don't like that. I think all of that's important.
I agree. Doing that sacred touch map is such
What's a sacred touch map?
A sacred touch map is just as you describing, the parts that we covering up that we think they're sacred, but feeling around your nipple, your areola, and having your husband, do the same on the touches that you like, the pressures you like. I think that is so important. But let's talk about, desire. What about his desire? And what is it that, as the scripture was saying, that the husband's body does not belong to him, it belongs to the wife. So men, how would you express what you want without demanding it?
Well, see, that's where emotional literacy comes in.
Okay.
You've got to know the difference between desire and entitlement.
Okay. Oh, desire.
You got to know the difference between desire and entitlement. Desire says, I would love this from you.
Okay.
Entitlement says, you owe me this. And the Holy Spirit ain't blessing that entitlement spirit.
Right.
Right? Desire is more appropriate. I would love this from you. And when you're able, again, it's when you say I would love this from you. Instead of, you don't never touch me right there. You always, no. I would like you to do this. And when you're able to articulate that moves you from a spirit of entitlement to desire. So wives can't read our minds, right?
No, your mind is not, there's not a teleprompter on your forehead. That would be great sometimes if we could read their minds, but God did not design us that way. So if you wanted to be touched or pursued or affirmed, use your words. Just say it. It takes the guesswork.
I'm laughing
out of it.
I bet you don't know what I'm laughing about. It's something that I do in the bedroom, and you be like, I know, you quit moving like that. I know what you want.
You know what I'm talking. You just moving, I'm like,
shimming, doing the cappuccino.
Yeah. I'm like.
So what would you rather me do in that moment instead of moving my body and asking you to?
Well, okay. I think what I'm wanting you to is to read my body language. Like, I ain't ready. I'm not going for that right now. But instead, you're trying to give me these nonverbal cues, and I'm like.
So what would you prefer, my love?
What I would prefer. Is.
You said for me to read your cues.
Right, but you just asked me what. We're talking about you moving, me moving, but we're going to talk about what we're supposed to do, okay?
You said, I want you to read my cues, but there's no teleprompter on your head.
Nope.
So...
just because I want it, I'm being honest, there's not a prompter on my head. There's not one on yours. And what we need to do to each other is to verbalize our desire.
Yeah, I think it's a hybrid approach.
Yeah.
I think... you're right. We have to name what we want. I would love it if you give me fellatio, or I would love it if you scratch my scalp, I would love it if you rub my back, I would love it if you would rub my booty cheeks, I love if you rub my feet. But we also have to kind of read that body language to be like, they seem a little tense.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
Or they seem like they're really relaxed right now. Let's pause and relish this pleasure moment before we move on to something else. So I think all of that
Yeah.
is verbal and nonverbal. Would you agree?
I agree.
So it's a dance.
It's a dance. It's a dance.
The dance of mutual surrender. When Paul talks about yielding our bodies to each other, he's not talking about losing yourself. He's talking about choosing oneness. Isn't that something? What do you think it means to choose oneness?
Choosing oneness. I think it's about listening, about learning, and adjusting. It's that, what is it? If the steel pole,
If steel does not
bend,
it'll break.
So you have to constantly make those adjustments
And be flexible.
Be able to listen to one another, and continue to learn from one another. Why are you laughing?
Because it's also about laughing,
Oh, yeah.
forgiving, and
Yeah.
trying again.
Yeah.
There's been some moments when, a position didn't work out, and, some comical came out of it, and we laughed about it. And, you got to have this forgiving spirit. Don't take yourself so serious, right? You might not get it right every time, but if you keep showing up with humility and curiosity, then what happens?
Your bedroom becomes this sacred space.
Yes.
And not a battlefield. Where you're like, oh, it's time to go to bed and we're gonna bicker, we're gonna fight. No, it's that sacred loving space where you're wanting to spend this time with one another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whose is it? It's y'all's. It's your world. It's your world. You ever somebody say, what's going on, man? It's your world. It's our world. And our world is such a complex ecosystem of mutual consent, of communication, of playfulness, of exploration. And our bodies belong to each other. Our bodies are mutual playgrounds. There's so much more to explore. Your body, man, does not belong to you, bruh. It belongs to your wife. And sis?
And your body does not belong to you, my love. It belongs to your spouse.
Because at the end of the day, the answer to whose is it is this. Both of y'all. It's ours. Somebody type in the comments, it's ours.
It's ours.
Our bodies belong to each other. We steward it together for God's glory and our good.
Now, if this episode has stirred anything in you and you want to keep this conversation going, join us June the 7th
Come on.
at New Direction Christian Church for our Love Without Limits conference.
Yes, Rhonda and I are going to go deeper with some other married couples, and we're going to be talking about how you take your love to the next level. Love without limits. What does your bedroom look like without any limits? The Bible says that the marriage bed is undefiled. So whatever you all consent to as a couple will widen your experience in that bedroom. And Rhonda and I are going to talk about that. But we also have 4 other couple friends who are going to come talk about finances, talk about communication, talk about prayer, talk about spending time with each other. Because all of those things contribute to making a happy, healthy, whole relationship. And that's what we want to give you. And it's only $199 per couple. For 5 workshops and lunch from 9 to 2. Your marriage deserves this investment. It deserves this tune-up. So do me a favor tonight, right now while you're listening. I want you to go to nakedandunashamedSLS.com and register. And it's not only for married couples, it's for seriously dating couples. I got a young couple that I talked to the other day, and he heard me mention that we're going to have a mass wedding in the fall, and he wants to be a part of it. And I told him, I said, I need y'all to come to our workshop on June 7th. He said, we'll be there. So if you know any seriously dating couples, married couples, tell them to go register today. Your marriage deserves this investment. And so, with that being said, we want to also let you know that we are mentoring, coaching married couples. We have about 16 in our Eden Circle continuity group, because we believe that two things are necessary for a healthy, vibrant relationship. That's a coach and community. Rhonda and I want to help coach you through some of these snags, some of these impediments, some of this stuff you've been taught wrong through the church. Sex was meant as a pleasurable experience for husband and wife. Sex is a spiritual act. It is something that bonds you. And we want you to be naked and without shame. So we want you to be a part of that. So if you want to be a part of our Eden Circle group, how do they do that?
You go to theedencircle.com. Again, that's theedencircle.com, and check us out.
We've got 600 couples so far subscribed. Y'all, do y'all believe we can get 1,000? I believe we can. Do me a favor. I need y'all to send this podcast to 3 of your couple friends. Send it to 3 of your couple friends and tell them to subscribe to our podcast. Let's continue to build a tribe. We want you to build a tribe where we are naked
and without shame.
Come on, somebody. So listen, we love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. And until next time, be blessed, stay connected, and keep loving on each other.